What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fuzzy Balls on YouTube, the tennis platform where we talk about the WTA Tour and the ATP Tour. Fuzzy Balls, it's back. Yes, took the hiatus for about a couple of years, but look, had to bring it back. One of my favorite sports to watch and to play, so I had to bring Fuzzy Balls back. Recently did a video on Dominic Thiem last week. I'll have that link in the description box. So that'll be there. So definitely go check that out. I think Dominic Thiem, somebody to look out for to make a comeback, would be really good for men's tennis and just tennis in general. So, and what we're really here for, uh, look, this had to happen. It was only right that this person was the first guest on the show. It wouldn't have been right. I would have to shut down the channel if I had gotten anybody else as the first guest. She knows this. Look, one of my great friends, not just in the media business, but in general, one of my best friends. And she had to do this. Her tennis knowledge is unmatched. So you're gonna, want to go make sure you go follow all of her stuff as far as what she writes about tennis, what she's talking about on social media, whatever it is. And obviously, you're going to want to watch this interview. I mean, it all makes sense. Come on, the trifecta right there. So, I have my good friend and tennis expert, Ashlee Woods. Ashlee Woods, it's an honor. Glad to have you here. What is going on with you?
Tennis expert is a lot on my shoulders.
Well,
um,
look, Carlos Alcaraz had all the weight on his shoulders, being the next up and comer, and now he's number one in the world. That's what comes with, being the best. You get the weight on your shoulders.
I got to deal with the being the weight on shoulders. Although I don't think I'm the best.
You the best.
I think I'm pretty good, but I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be the first guest. I don't know if you had to shut down the channel if anyone else was the first guest. You could have had anybody else, but I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Ashlee, look, like I said, no one else could have been the first guest. It had to have been you. So what's going on with you, Ashlee? What's before we really get to to the meat of the interview here, what's going on with you? Anything new? I know Alabama football, they're not number one right now. So since they're not number one, are they really a football team right now? Like, what's going on?
A lot of things are going on. I'm just, I am an editor in chief for a magazine at my school. So that magazine has been printed. It's on our way over here. Super excited about that.
Which
Um,
tell people about it. Which magazine? What's it called?
yes, I have to tell people. Yes, so I am the editor in chief of 1956 magazine, the first Black student-led magazine on campus. I've been there since it started back in 2020, and this is our first fall issue. It's being printed, and it's printed and it's on its way over here. Super excited about it. That's been like preoccupying a lot of my time. But yeah, I mean, Alabama's not number one, but they're still a decent football team. I mean, the team that's number one in one of the rankings doesn't have a defense, so that's okay. But yeah, sports. I've been running around looking like a chicken with his head cut off, just trying to make sure I can keep up with everything. But I've been doing good. I've just been hanging in there, trying to get through the end of the semester, and yeah.
Yeah, you're a college kid. That's what college kids do. You survive, right? That's what it's about. You survive.
Yes, I don't know if I'm surviving. I think I'm just making it. I'm just merely making it at this point.
That's okay. That was me. I was a C's get degrees guy. I know your GPA is like 4 point like 59. So
Whoa,
um,
whoa,
I mean, I know that
whoa,
doesn't even exist. That number doesn't even exist. So that's how good your G. I know you don't have to say it. You don't have to
whoa,
sit here and say it, but you know. Um,
whoa.
but as I said, expert, school expert, football expert, tennis expert, experts of many things. You wear many hats. So let's get to the tennis. First, I want to start with the women's side. The women's side has been kind of up and down, over the last 3-4 years, kind of without Serena in and out. It's the sport has been changing. It seemed like Naomi Osaka was really kind of going to what or look like the face of tennis for a second, face of women's tennis. She's had her mental health issues. She's had her old issues with the press, the French Open last year, what have you. I really hope she comes back soon because I think the sport needs her. But Iga Swiatek's been dominating the game. Just kind of give me your general thoughts on what you think about the WTA Tour right now, which they are in the midst of what they consider their fifth major, the WTA Finals. Um, Kind of tell me what your thoughts are generally on the WTA Tour right now.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting time in the WTA Tour because I mean, tennis fans have known for a bit because with Serena, having the title back in 2017 and then kind of being in and out due to injury or just her stopping because she wants to venture into other things. We've kind of had this idea of what tennis without Serena and without Venus as well was going to be like. But now we're kind of seeing what tennis is going to be at like without it's big one of his bigger new stars in Naomi Osaka. And I think it's a very fun time because you're seeing just how much depth is on the WTA tour. And I've talked about this on other things that I've done. Um, I like seeing the depth that the WTA tour has. My only complaint is just having a more solid, more exclusive club of the top 10. The top 10 kind of separates itself on the field, whereas sometimes the top 10 can be amongst the field and can lose to someone that's like ranked like 50 in the world. I enjoy the WTA right now. I think it's really fun to watch. There's a player for everybody out there. If you like counter punching, there's Coco. If you like aggression, there's Iga to an extent. Big serving is out there. There's a lot of variety as far as play styles in the WTA tour, and as far as personalities as well, fiery personalities. I think of Layla Fernandez as well. Cool, even keeled Elena Rybakina, although she got crapped on for her Wimbledon celebration. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody, and it's fun because it adds a little bit of variety and spice to the WTA tour, and I'm enjoying what I've been seeing out of the WTA this year.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, Ashley. I definitely think there is a player for everybody. You mentioned Layla Fernandez, who's I think 40th in the world right now. Like she was in the U.S. Open final last year. Like we all remember her, and Emma Raducanu, who's another one. Um, like there are a lot of players. I think for everybody, but I think maybe you can agree with me on this. I think that maybe Serena dominated. Serena and Venus dominated the sport for such a long time. The sport kind of needs like that one girl that's or not maybe not one girl, one two maybe a third girl to dominate and maybe even have a rivalry like we had with Chrissy Everett and Navratilova and Steffi Graf and Monica Seles before she unfortunately got stabbed. Um, but do you think the sport needs one or two girls that are going to dominate for years to come and maybe hopefully have those one or two girls have a rivalry, and who do you think that those could be?
Yeah, rivalries are definitely needed. But to your first point about Serena and Venus, um, no one's ever gonna have that impact that they did again, or at least for a very, very long time. So I think kind of putting that expectation on them is a little bit unfair. I'm not saying that you are, but
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
just in general, putting the expectation of trying to find our next biggest star is a little bit unfair. But I do think rivalries are kind of needed. They draw interest to the sport, and I use the word rivalry just very loosely because sometimes it can come with a negative connotation. But just to draw interest into the sport, bring people in to watch matches, things that are competitive together. So right now the it girl per se on the WTA tour is Iga. Um, I do think there are other girls that could step up and rival her game. I think anyone in the top 10 could step up eventually and kind of create an interesting rivalry with Iga. I think right now, what's separating Iga from the rest of the pack is just sheer confidence. And, there are people that can compete with Iga's game style and kind of frustrate her. I just don't think they've cracked the code yet. Um, and once that code gets cracked, it kind of becomes a little bit more interesting because now you're seeing what makes Iga vulnerable. So right now, the it girl is Iga Swiatek. Um, I do, however, see a potential of Naomi coming back and potentially having a rivalry with Coco. I think that head to head is like 2-1 Naomi, if I can remember correctly.
Mhm.
And they had some pretty decent matches together. The 2020, I believe, Australian Open match pops to my mind. I think that could be a fun rivalry right there. I also something that's a little bit of an underrated rivalry or underrated matchup for me is Jessica Pegula and Maria Sakkari. It's 4-2, I believe, to Sakkari now. Well, yes, it is 4-2 to Sakkari because Sakkari just beat Jessica at the WTA finals. But their playing style kind of matches up very similarly, and you saw that at the WTA finals. Both of them can move very well. Both of them have very solid ground strokes. You can argue that Jessica is the better person at the net, and that's mainly because of doubles that she's played with Coco. But they go toe to toe. That could be a potentially really fun, underrated rivalry or matchup. But yeah, I think right now the it girl is Iga. I know that there's a lot of people that can step up though to be kind of the it girl along with Iga Swiatek. Ons could be one. Coco could definitely be one, especially in American tennis. Maria Sakkari, if she's a very solid player. I think one thing that's kind of stopping her right now is the mental side of things. So those are some players that I'm looking out for. Layla Fernandez, of course, Emma Raducanu. Um, a very aggressive game style. Has the personality to kind of match with what she's playing on court. So there are a lot of people, and of course, if Naomi decides to come back, there's also Naomi. But there are a lot of people, a lot of women on the tour that could really uh, join Iga as among the top as far as big names in tennis.